So in a game that ended up being as high scoring as it is advertised, especially when it was the top two offenses coming in, the top two teams in the league with the highest point differentials coming in, it performed about as well as advertised. And for Detroit fans, this is a feeling we haven't felt for almost 4 months, an L. As the winning streak is over, but despite that, Detroit still controls their own destiny in the NFC for the 1 seed in the NFC North. Before we talk about what happened between the Lions and the Bills today, let's see what else happened in Detroit sports this week.
Detroit basketball!
Oh, for the Pistons this week, they only had one game this week, and it was against Boston. And to no surprise, the Pistons got completely blown out by Boston, losing by 24 points, which was kind of expected because Boston's still a contending team in the NBA, while the Pistons are still rebuilding and growing and trying to figure some things out. So yeah, not much else to expect there. But yeah, just, a pretty off week because, that whole fucking stupid NBA Cup thing is still going on. But in terms of Pistons, they had not much to report this week outside of one game, which was against a good team in Boston. Now on to the Red Wings this week. They had a pretty up and down week as, of course, the week started off with a shootout win against Buffalo, which the main storyline coming out of that game was Philly Husso getting benched and taking his place, who was called up to make his NHL debut, a debut we've been waiting a long time for. Sebastian Cossa getting called up. Holy shit, the Wings actually did a smart move and actually called somebody up so we could see what we got in Cossa. And Cossa did a really good job coming in on short notice to replace Philly Husso after Husso played like absolute dog shit and got the win in his NHL debut. So that was great, but of course it went too great, because what do the Wings do after Sebastian Cossa gets the win? Why, they send him right back down to Grand Rapids again. I bet you Chris Ilitch had something to do with that too. I bet you he took a look at Cossa doing well in his NHL debut and thinking the Wings might be able to turn around, and Ilitch was like, nope, can't have that. Send him back down to Grand Rapids and let's rush Cam Talent back from injury too quickly. And what would happen the first game after he sent Cossa back down to Grand Rapids? They'd lose right to Philadelphia, as Husso played like dog shit. And also, who knew that rushing Cam Talbot back from injury was a horrible mistake? As he was injured again, it's like, yeah, maybe next time don't rush him back from injury when the team owner has no fucking clue what to do. But yeah, that's honestly a bad move though by Derek Alone. If it was actually Alone that made that call to send Cossa back down and not Chris Ilitch, then that's a fireable offense by Alone. Because Cossa's a lot fucking better than what we have in goaltender right now. I argue that he's better than Talbot, or he can at least be a good complimentary backup to Cam Talbot. He's better than Husso and Alex Lyon. That's for fucking sure, and Jack Campbell. But yeah, but the Wings though, they were able to bounce back and got a win Saturday night against the Leafs at home. But yeah, honestly though, I would have liked to see Cossa stay more up on the main roster. I mean, it's very tough to tell what you got in Cossa, especially since he has a lot of high regard as a highly rated prospect, being a first-round pick a couple years ago. We can't really tell for sure what we got in Sebastian Cossa unless we have him up on the roster full time. Jesus Christ, if you're not going to call some of these young kids up to the main roster, then what was the fucking point of drafting them in the first place if you're not going to bring them up and see what we got in them? I'm not saying Cossa's going to turn this team down around immediately, but I at least want to see what we got in him to know if we should invest in him as the starting goaltender long term or wait on Trey Augustine for a couple years. Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. God damn it. Even though the Wings won 2 out of 3 games this week, it's still pretty frustrating, especially when they can still make bad decisions and still win despite it. The one thing the winning does is it keeps Derek Alone's job around longer, and it doesn't get him fired. I'll say this, if it's pretty obvious that he's not going to be coaching next year, then what's the fucking point of keeping him around? Like, you may as well just fire him now and get somebody in that can actually get more out of this fucking roster than Derek alone. The problem is, though, the Wings probably won't fire him most likely until the All-Star break. But by the time we get to the All-Star break, it may be too little too late for the Wings to salvage the season. That's going to be the more infuriating part, where the Wings are going to wait too damn long to make the right decision. And instead of just get it done now and get it over with, instead of delaying the inevitable. But in the end, even despite this though, the fan base may turn on, it's just slowly starting to turn on Steve Yzerman. Because a lot of the Yzerman supporters have been starting to go down by the week. But that's probably not what most of this fan base is going to complain about. Instead, let's have the Wings fan base complain about the Jared Goff chants at Wings games. I mean, if the Wings gave us something exciting to watch on the ice, then maybe the fans want to be resorting to Jared Goff chants. And also telling the fans to shut up about the Jared Goff chants, that's not going to stop people from chanting it. If anything, that's just going to encourage some people to chant it even more, just despite all the fucking Karen ball sacks in this fan base. Man, Jesus Christ. I remember when the Wings were a very respectable fan base. No wonder no one respects the Wings fan base and the Wings fans now. So many goddamn fucking vaginas in this fan base now. And so many fucking Karen ballsacks in this fan base too. What a tragedy. Now to the Lions and Bills game, and I'll be honest, I wasn't 100% confident on the Lions' chances coming into this game. It was a 50-50 game. It was going to be a very hard task for the Lions. But I mean, even despite the Lions' 11-game winning streak, though, it was pretty obvious, though, that the Lions' defense has been heavily decimated by injuries, and at some point, it was going to catch up to Detroit at some point. And well, against Buffalo, it finally caught up to the Lions. As, yeah, the Bills' offense just took a complete advantage of how depleted the Lions' defense was. Lions' defense never stood a chance against Josh Allen and the Bills. Just the Bills' offense had their fucking way with the Lions' defense. Just, you know, the run, like, no linebacker can match what they're doing with the running backs on third down. Josh Allen had all day to throw, and he was when we did have pressure, he was able to escape it and run out of the pocket and buy some time to find somebody deep on a 60-yard bomb. Just, yeah, it was a pretty frustrating game defensively. Offensively, the Lions did well offensively, even despite the slow start. But I think even with the slow start, I don't think it would have changed the outcome of this game anyway. I think the Bills still would have won regardless, but still was a pretty frustrating game overall. You know, Lions offense, look at the Lions offense. They did well enough to win this game. Just the defense was so fucking horrible. Like, you're not going to win many games giving up 48 points a game. Like, the offense proved, pretty much the Lions' only hope right now is on the offense. Like, if the Lions' defense can keep a team from scoring under 30 points, then they'll have a chance to win at this rate. Just with how banged up the Lions are right now. And plus the Bills, you know, also the defensively, the Bills were able to stop the Lions' run game. Their biggest strength all year. They prevented Sonic and Knuckles from running the ball. Like, when it looked like they could have had any momentum going, they punched the reins right out of both of them. Just, yeah, and there was only one turnover all game, and that was Amon-Ra St. Brown's fumble to start the second half. Yeah, but I mean, the Lions, though, we did have a couple of good offensive moments, especially, you know, Dan Skipper getting the touchdown. We had a fat man touchdown, so that was good to see. And Amon-Ra's 66-yard bomb, that was also pretty cool to see, too. But, you know, even despite the Lions' best efforts offensively, just in the end, the Lions weren't good enough to contend with the Bills. Just, you know, it was going to be a very hard matchup. The top two offenses in the league, the top two teams in terms of point differential. Just, it was going to be it was a 50-50 game that could have gone either way, and in the end, somebody had to lose this game, and in this case, it was the Lions that had to lose. Ending the Lions' 11-game winning streak. The longest win streak in Lions franchise history has come to an end, and I'll be honest, I don't think anybody had the Lions winning out the rest of the year. It was going to be very hard to do. Like, I knew the Lions were going to lose one of their last 4 games. Like, it was going to happen. But also it's a good thing, though, the Lions got punched in the mouth. Because now it shows that they aren't immortal and they're as human as everybody else. And now the Lions no longer have to worry about a massive winning streak going into the playoffs to worry about. Now you're going to just go out there and win out the rest of the year. Because even with the Lions losing this game to Buffalo, it doesn't affect the situation in the NFC because the Lions are still the 1 seed in the NFC despite Philadelphia beating Pittsburgh today. Because the Bills are an AFC team, so this doesn't affect the NFC tiebreakers. Since Detroit still has tiebreaker over Philadelphia off record versus NFC opponents. And Detroit would still have tiebreaker over Minnesota if the Vikings win Monday night. Since the Lions own the head-to-head tiebreaker over Minnesota right now. Like bottom line is, even despite the Lions losing to the Bills, they still control their own destiny. They can still get the NFC North in the 1 seed. They just have to win out the last 3 weeks. And all of their last 3 games are against NFC teams. So but even any time the Lions defense did anything in this game, somebody went down an injury. We had Carlton Davis. Looks like he's done for the year with a broken jaw. Yeah, Khalil Dorsey with that bad leg injury. Prayers to him, because that was a nasty injury he took. And then Lee McNeil out for the year with a knee injury. This defense just can't catch a break. Just everybody game banged up. The run was Lions couldn't get anything on the run game. Like, the main key was to keep Josh Allen off the field for as long as humanly possible. And the Lions couldn't do that when the run game was getting completely fucking stuffed. And then the Lions I don't know what it is with Aaron Glenn, but just his defensive game plans, he can never put together a good defensive game plan to contain a mobile QB. And it was very evident today with Josh Allen, hey, shout out to the Bills, they played a really great game. And shout out to Josh Allen, he had a good game too. Honestly, this game officially, I think, sealed Josh Allen's bid for MVP. This game proves that Josh Allen is the MVP for the NFL this season. I don't think there's any doubt there. This game officially sealed that debate. But yeah, it's 2 of the top teams in the NFL, and in the end, the Bills just were the better team today. And the Bills just straight up beat the shit out of the Lions. The Lions got fucking smacked in the mouth by Josh Allen and Bills Mafia. There's no excuses for this game. The Bills won fair and square. Nothing else to say. But it is a good thing the Lions got smacked in the mouth. Like I said, the one positive, the Lions are still 12-2. They're still the 1 seed. They still control their own destiny. The one advice I can give the Lions fans right now for this game is just, move on. Just, move on and refocus. And let's get refocused for Chicago next week. We got 3 games left, all against NFC teams. So those being Chicago, San Francisco, and Minnesota. Plus, the Vikings still got a pretty tough schedule up to Week 18 against us. Because the Vikings got to play the Seahawks. And they got to play the Packers in Week 16 and 17. In Philadelphia, we can't control what happens with Philadelphia. Only thing Detroit can control is what they can do. But now with Detroit losing today, the stakes have gone. The stakes are now even higher the next 3 weeks in the sprint to the finish to end the season. At this point in the year, we can't really use the injury card excuse anymore. At this point, what you got is what you got. You gotta make do with it. At this point, it's next man has to step up or step aside. In the end, the Lions defense chose step aside. Ain't that a bitch? And also in a rare turn of events, Jared Goff has now had a weird stat line now. Because now this year the Lions have won a game where Jared Goff threw 5 interceptions. And now the Lions have lost a game where Jared Goff threw 5 touchdowns. That's a weird fucking stat line, not gonna lie. But yeah, like I said, it's gonna be a very hard game. I have no ill will against the Bills. I respect what they're doing in Buffalo. So yeah, Buffalo's kind of like a brother in a way. And in the end, just Buffalo got the better of us today. No excuses, just Buffalo came ready, They're a well-coached team. They're 11-3. There's the reason why Buffalo won the AFC East for 5 years in a row. And today is pretty good evidence of that. In the end, Detroit just ended up being a really good team, and in the end, better team just won. And I'll tell you right now, there's a very good chance we may be seeing Buffalo again, possibly in February. If both teams make it to New Orleans, that is. For the Bills, I think they can easily make the Super Bowl this year. The question is, though, can they beat the Chiefs in Arrowhead when it matters the most? That is the real question. If the Bills can do that, their sky's the limit. But yeah, just refocus, get ready for Chicago next week. And the good news is Brad Holmes is our GM, and I bet you he's going to be cooking to try and find us some reinforcements on the D-line and corner. Last I heard, I believe Ndamukong Suh is still a free agent. Maybe see if he wants to come out of retirement to have one last run in Detroit. At this point, we may have no choice. I'm willing to bring Ndamukong Suh back for one last run. One last stand. Have him finish what he started 10 years ago. But yeah, pretty disappointing. It was a pretty disappointing game, The Lions gave it all they had, just in the end, they just weren't good enough to beat Buffalo, end of the day. But there's still 3 games left. Stakes are even higher, but Detroit now has no more mulligans. Because this game against Buffalo, Detroit had a mulligan. They just used that one mulligan today against Buffalo. They have no more mulligans the rest of the season. Because like I said in the preview earlier this week, Detroit can get is guaranteed the 1 seed if they finish 15-2. If they finish 14-3 or worse, then there is a chance they may not get the 1 seed. Or maybe not even win the NFC North this year. Especially if Minnesota continues to be a pain in our ass again. There's a very strong possibility the North and the 1 seed come down to Week 18 against Minnesota. And there's a very strong possibility that Week 18 game against Minnesota becomes a Sunday night game. But we got to get there first, and we got to bounce back next week. But yeah, effectively the last 3 games are must-win games if Detroit wants to have any shot at seeing the 1 seed. So I'll tell you right now, One Pride, if you want the Lions to make the Super Bowl this year, you cannot let Philadelphia get the 1 seed in the NFC. Because if the Eagles get the 1 seed in the NFC, you can kiss any hope of the Super Bowl goodbye. Because that Philadelphia crowd will make it extremely difficult to win in January. Especially when it's an outdoor stadium. So yeah, getting that 1 seed is going to be very crucial, especially since, Detroit's going to get a little healthier down the stretch. Ancelotti's going to be back by the end of the season. Same deal with Fatu Melifonwu and Enos Rakestraw. Even we'll get John Kaminsky back just in time for the playoffs. And also, keep in mind, the number 1 seed gets a first-round bye and gets an extra bye week. But yeah, just, a pretty disappointing game. But hey, all streaks have to come to an end at some point. Hey, at least we no longer have that pressure of keeping a massive winning streak going. But yeah, first time in 4 months the Lions have lost a football game. They were going to lose a game again at some point, but it's pretty brutal, especially in the way that it happened, Not often you score 42 points in a game and still lose. Especially when your offense has been doing that all year. Just in the end, the Bills are able to take advantage of how decimated the Lions' defense has been by injury. But only thing you can do is move on, refocus, and get ready for next week against Chicago. But yeah, this game means that there's no chance of Detroit clinching the 1 seed in the NFC North before Week 18. It's going to come down to Week 18 now. Ain't going to be like last year when the Lions locked up the division 2 weeks early. It'll come down to the final week of the year. Of at least the regular season, that is. But anyway, congrats to the Bills Mafia and the Bills fans. On to Chicago next week for War Week Round 2. I'm out.